Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and welcome back. On today's topic, I would like to talk about the introduction on art appreciation. But before I proceed, I would like to give a brief understanding or definition on art. So, before we come up to art, let us understand that for any creation, there is the creator, and for any artworks being made, there is the artist or the maker. And all artists are humans, and humans have mind. They can think, and humans have ideas, thoughts, and feelings which they express and they apply a part of the imagination, from the imagination towards the reality. And Pablo Picasso, one of the modern artists, Cubist modern artists, said that every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once he or she grows up. So everyone was born as an artist, and everyone can make art. But the fact is that how do we use this ability or capability? How do we enhance it for the sake of art? John Berger, an English critic, he wrote a book on ways of seeing, and on the introduction part he states that seeing comes before words, and the child looks then recognizes before it can speak. So one part, the moment one register what one see, smell, hear, touch, taste as a unique experience on a subject or situation, it becomes an art, because artists produce and artists consume. And art could take any form of ideas and thoughts and feelings into a form of representational art, such as painting, sculpture, printmaking, or non-representational ideas such as conceptual ideas, conceptual art, and abstract events such as performance art, martial art, happenings, video art, and other many more. So artists produce and artists consume respectively for the ideas, thoughts, and feelings of the maker to the viewer. So it is a process between human and human. Both have minds. So as much as we say it is important to learn about humans and nature, it is also important to learn about art. It is also important to have the study on art, to make the discussion on art. But how do we make such a study or discussion on art? What are the methods? So this leads to our subject, which is the study on art appreciation. Art appreciation is a method to study or discuss about art based on the components of the form and content. So any artworks, whether it's a simple artwork, or it could be a complicated artwork, or it could be a complex artwork, have these elements, have these form and content, the component of the form and content. So the form and content acts as the information or evidence, or the facts and observation that is imbued or embedded in an artwork. So you have to decode which are these facts, and these information and evidence are coded in an artwork by the artist, intentionally or unintentionally. So you must decode them, the form and content, to formulate your art appreciation, or your response, or your reaction towards a certain artwork. So when you possess and manage to formulate an art appreciation from form and content, you can actually decipher, decode, or make an art appreciation for any artworks that you like. Okay, So, uh, art appreciation consists of the form and content, and in this slide, we can see the form is the surface layer, and the content is beneath that surface layer. The form is the extrinsic value, and the content is the intrinsic value. So the form on the surface, that have you ever heard falling love in first sight? So that's everything about the form of an artwork. You describe the facts and whatever you can observe from outside of the artwork, the formalistic aspect. So the first one, the facts, is the description of the artwork. It comes with a lot of description, but we will focus on the five, which is the artist of the artwork, the title of the artwork, the medium of the artwork, the year the artwork was produced or exhibit, and the period or the movement of the artist, or the movement or the period of the artwork. Okay, the second part for the form component is the analyzing of the formalistic characteristics, or formalistic elements and principles. So these elements and principles are essential for any artworks. They are like the vowels that the words that we utter and talk. They have that vowels which is essential, as same as the elements and principle. Any artwork, like I said, whether it is a simple artwork, a complicated artwork, so a complex artwork, it still has that elements and principle. And the elements of art, as we can see, are like the ABC, or the words that you use to make to write good novels, to write and compose good songs and musics. It works the same as for art, for using those elements, which is line, shape, space, color, form, value, and texture. And for the principle, it is the principle of balance, proportion, rhythm, unity, pattern, variety, emphasis, and contrast. Okay, on the other side, rather than the component of the form, is the content, the content component. The content component is very important, as equally important, because the content form acts as the meaning of the artwork, and we know that the artwork, the production and the consumption, the produce and the consume of an artwork is from the maker to the viewer, which are humans and humans. And as humans, we have ideas. Which we communicate, which we express, which we apply, which we give impression. So this part of the content is equally important when sometimes it can't be seen or observed on the surface of the painting. At times, sometimes you can see that content and meaning from the subject itself in the painting, and at times there's no subject, since it's a conceptual art or an abstract art. But you must understand that the meaning of the artwork is as equally important as the form of the artwork. Okay, so because the person who makes the artwork is human, and art is idea-based thinking of the mind, which permits the importance of a content in an artwork, and to study that content of the artwork. So usually in the content, we want to know three important things. Two is about the artist, and the third one is what we have to do. The first one is what an artist meant to portray, and what the artist did portray. So this is the in between, what is intended and what is the actual message of the artist. And the third one, our take, is how we react as individuals with a freedom imperative. As an individual, how do we see that struggle, or how does that artist apply his expression or application or impressions of his ideas, thoughts, and feelings? How does he express? What does he meant to portray, and what did he portray? And how do you react as a viewer, as a human being? So other than the meaning, you also have to interpret the subject and theme. So there's a lot of subject and theme, as you can see in the slide, and also the interpretation of the iconography, the signs and symbol of an artwork. So these are usually in religious painting. You have the signs and symbols of an artwork, and always remember that the meaning comes first in an artwork. I mean, when you do the content appreciation, the meaning comes first. The meaning about what the artist meant to portray and what did he portray. Then after that, you can describe about the subject, the theme, and also the iconography. This can be seen as some of the medieval paintings depicting about the Trinity of the Holy Spirit, the Holy Mary, and the Holy Christ. So whatever the signs and symbols or the subjects or the theme, the actual meaning was actually intended to portray and propagate or preach the message of Christianity. So that is the main or the dominant meaning or content in an artwork. So let's apply this knowledge on a painting. As we can see in the screen, these are two paintings by the same artist. So on my right and on my left. Okay, let's do an art appreciation. Let's start now. Okay, for the form and content for both of the painting. So starting with the one on the left. So you want to make an art appreciation. You have two components, the form and the content. Starting with the form, what do? You describe about the artwork. You give a description on the facts, which is the title of the art by the left is The Black Square. The artist is Kazimir Malevich. Is a famous Russian artist, modern artist. Okay, the medium is oil paint. The year is 1915, and the movement or the period, I'll take the movement, is the suprematism movement. Okay, on my right, the title is White on White. The artist Kazimir Malevich. The medium oil paint. The year 1918. Then the movement suprematism. So let's go to the next point of formalistic aspect, which is to analyze the elements and principle, the formalistic characteristics of both of the painting. So like I mentioned, paintings could come in many forms, and they could come as being very simple like this, or being very complicated, or being very complex. And at times some of my students said that for two of these paintings, it's not either one, it's three of them. It's very simple. It looks complicated at times because it's too simple, and it's very complex because we don't know what's happening. And never think or understand art like an example that I said just now. You have to look at art as something, as to be appreciated, and you can actually decipher whatever, however simple it is, however complex or complicated the art is. Everyone can actually decipher using the knowledge of art appreciation, using the form and content. So let's talk about the form. So the form, you can see starting from the elements of art. There's lines that creates the shape. There's colors. There's black and white. There's different shades of colors, the hue, the different shades of the white. And there's the shape of a square, and there's multiple square. And then there's the, like I mentioned, the value, and there's also the texture. If you look very closely or find the image of the painting, the black square and also the white on white, there's also there are actually textures, and the textures also it creates value. Okay, that is the formalistic aspect on the element. Okay, let's go to the principle. The principle, there's the principle of, first of all, there's balance on the left painting. There's balance, symmetrical balance, and on the right there's a symmetrical balance of the square. There's contrast in the color, contrast in the juxtaposition of the shape on the white and white, which is the smaller square is a tilt more to the right, and there's contrast. There's emphasis on the size of the squares. There's harmony, other than contrast. There's harmony of that white and white, and we can see the harmony balance of the colors, the contrast of the colors. There's rhythm, and there's a lot of things to talk about. But always understand that when some artworks, even though it appears as to be very simple in their formalistic aspect, it does not say that it's also going to be easy or simple on the part of its meaning, of its content, because it's equally important, and at times, sometimes it's more important of the meaning rather than the form itself. Okay, let's look on the content. So as we mentioned, we said that the content consists of interpretations and what is the meaning. Interpretation comes in the subject and theme, and also interpretation comes in the classification of iconography, signs or symbol. So first of all, can you see any signs or symbol that you can relate? Nothing much, as what we might know. Can you see the theme or subject? So not much of a theme or subject, but always remember that when you say a theme and subject, it does not just have to be a figurative painting, a religious painting, mythological painting, still life painting, or whatsoever. Even anything embedded in that form can be a content. I mean, we can say that the painting is talking about squares. We're talking about geometric squares and different shape of geometric square, different size, different orientation and juxtaposition. And we can also talk about one of the important things that I mentioned on the meaning of the content, which is what the artist meant to portray and what the artist did portray. What was his intended and actual message. So we can see the message of the artist Kazimir Malevich, his expression and application of ideas, thoughts and feelings can be seen in the painting, expressed in the painting, in the form, in the shape, in the form of, in the principle form of the contrast between the color, white and black, as if goodness and evilness, as if light and dark, as if night and day. So we can see in terms of expression of emotion and feelings, there's some contrast or contradiction, there's some conflict for the artist on the left painting. And on the right painting, we can see there's not much of a contrast. It's more on the principle of harmony. It's you're putting white on white, and juxtaposition, which is the second, the smaller square has been put on top, and it's been tilted a little bit to show that it's not stagnant, it's not static, but it moves freely. And we also can see the emphasis of the shape, how he emphasizes these colors, how he emphasizes in the left side of the painting that black color, as if it's dominant towards the whole painting. If you calculate by the ratio of the surface area, then we would say that the black dominate. And if we say that black is evil, then evil or despair is dominating hope. And on the right painting, it's white on white. It's like hope on hope. And it's not just hope on hope. I mean, the way he tilted freely is, man, hope is moving happily, freely, with freedom on its verge of hope. Okay, so that could be the meaning of the artist. And if we put it in a contextual aspect, both paintings were done before and after the Russian Revolution, and we know that the Russian Revolution played a significant role in the system, political, economical, and social system of Russian now up until today. So the one of the black was before the Russian Revolution, and the one of the white was after, preceded. The one of the black preceded, and the white was the one that superseded. So we can say in one context of approach that there's a lot of conflicts between despair and hope before that revolution. And after the revolution, we can say that there's a lot of hope on hope, and the interplay and the movement of that hope is much more on a freedom side, especially if you're talking about that industrial revolution more on the working class rather than one class of the ruling class before the revolution. So I think that's all for me today. I hope you get a good understanding on art appreciation, and I'm really excited also to see what is your art appreciation on your artworks being chosen. Okay, Assalamu alaikum.